maybe metallic form, say mercury for blood, water is mercury, just a different structure, but
different life
still,
form. Yeah.
Different life form, but still being able to exist with just different forms of metal per se, other than this flesh structure.
Right, meaning like on other planets and so on?
Yeah, I was just wondering if if you think life could exist maybe in a
completely different form?
Completely different structure.
Or would it have to look exactly like us?
Yeah, exactly.
No, I believe that life can exist in many different forms because if this vacuum structure is the source of all the information, and it self-organizes, it always uses the same function at all the scales, but it will manifest differently depending on the local environment so that it can survive even, and we keep finding that. We keep going to new places like deep in the ocean and so on and finding life there where we thought life could not exist because nature is able to do things, organize systems so that it can produce life in many different ways that surprises us. And it's almost like a Darwinian evolutional theory of the physics of creation. It takes the concept that systems adapt to their local environment and brings it to the physics of the universe. And so, yeah, I believe that life probably emerges in many different ways. And so depending if a planet has oxygen and nitrogen and what the quantities of these gases are, or if it's completely different, maybe you have beings that can breed completely different things. If you look even at our earlier evolution, when we were a monocellular system, oxygen was the pollutant of the day, and we almost got wiped out. There was almost extinction on our planet because we were producing way too much oxygen, and all the monocellular systems were dying until they were in competition, until they started to collaborate and produce a multicellular system that eventually could breed oxygen, and then all of a sudden it flourished again. And I think, in one way our civilization is learning that lesson, how to collaborate.
Let's go next to Toronto, Canada on the international line. Steve, hi.
Hey, how's it going, George?
Good.
My question, well, actually I have two. One of them is what the guest's thoughts are on the problem of evil in our world. And the other one is regarding viruses. What he thought of the theory that because viruses aren't actually alive, and if you look at them like a picture of a virus under a very powerful microscope, that they actually look like little machines. So I wondered what he thought about the theory that viruses could actually be nanotechnology from a previous civilization of Earth. And I'll take my answer off the air. Thanks.
Thank you. Well, those are interesting questions. About evil, I fundamentally don't believe in evil. I believe that there's just confusion. There's just, there's so much that a being has to overcome when they come in our world. Our world has a tendency to be quite violent. I mean, even the first few minutes of birth in our modern civilization, if a child is birthed in a hospital, can be quite traumatic, and all the environmental issues we're facing and all this stuff, and the difficulties that a being can undergo very early in their childhood in our society. I think that's what produces what we call evil. I don't believe that children are born fundamentally evil, but that actually it's a product of our confusion and our level of society. And I think hopefully that will change in the near future. That is very very much improving now. So I think there's just different levels, different gradients of awareness, and and that's what makes up the difference between Buddha and Hitler. Now, I think as far as viruses go, I think viruses are a natural entity. They're crucial to the evolution of our biology. They produce, they reinforce systems so that the challenge to those systems demands that they set up new networks of information to defend themselves and reinforce the structure and so on. In one way, you could look at viruses as the way the universe learns about itself. It's by system being challenged that we learn. I mean, we can see it even in our own life, the challenges we encounter are a great opportunity to learn about ourselves.
Okay, next up, let's go to Dayton, Ohio, east of the Rockies. Donna, go ahead.
My question is, in more simpler terms, is it what you're talking about the universe, what you put basically out into the universe is what is going to come back to you, so what we would call karma? Karma.
What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was described in many different ways in different cultures, and karma is one of them. It's that this concept of feedback, that there's a relationship between what you feed to the vacuum and what's going to come back to you. And so, in more modern spiritual groups, they call it creating your own reality and so on. I just want to warn on that it's important to realize that, when you feed information and intend something and give it to the universe, or what I call the vacuum energy, then, it's modified by everything else, because the vacuum or the structure of the universe is self-organizing everything, so it has to coordinate so that there is a consensus reality. If everybody created their own reality and that was exactly what they created, nobody would meet. We would all be in our own reality and there would be no consensus. So there's actually, you have to understand that, yes, you're creating your reality and reality is creating you. It's a feedback. There's a dance, and both sides of the equation are crucial.
Crucial indeed. Thanks for your call. Let's go to Nancy in North Hollywood, California. Go ahead, Nancy.
Hi there.
Hi.
First-time caller, a long-time listener.
Good to have you with us.
Thanks. I always wanted to say that. My birthday is on August 12th, and every year there's that Perseids meteor shower, and recently I've been trying to research that, and I'm wondering if there's a correlation between, what it really means behind having your birthday on the time of this explosive meteor shower every year, and I can't find any research about that delves into that.
Well, that's a good thought. I'm not sure what it means. I mean, maybe that you have a sparkly personality. I wouldn't know, but if you're asking if I believe that astrology has any meaning, I would say that it most likely does, and I mean that loosely because in this concept that I'm bringing forward, everything is connected, everything is entangled, all protons are entangled. So, the position of planets and the position of stars and the position of the solar system and what's happening inside it when you're born has probably an effect on who you are and what you do.
We'll be back with final phone calls in just a moment on Coast to Coast AM.
From the City of Angels, this is Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie.
On our next Coast to Coast program, Mark Stavish joins us, Between the Gates, lucid dreaming, astral projection. Looking forward to that. When we come back, we'll take final phone calls with our special guest tonight, scientist Nassim Haramein, next on Coast to Coast AM. What's the one answer, Nassim, that you have not had answered yet about what you've done, the universe, that you would love answered?
Well, how to have, an easy long-term relationship. I think that is the biggest challenge that one can encounter. It certainly keeps me on my toes.
Sure does. Well, if you can get through that, then everything else is simple, isn't it?
That's right. I can solve some of the most complex equations, but certainly, keeping a beautiful connection in an intimate relationship is